With the right information, replacing the seal can be done fast and easy. However, there are a number of commonly made mistakes that can quickly turn this simple job into a headache. Hey, what's going on? It's Robert, and you are watching Southpaw Autoworks. In this episode, we're replacing the shifter shaft seal on the GM 4L60E. This seal is also known as a manual shaft seal, a selector shaft seal, and so on. At any rate, this job can be done in under 10 minutes, and it can be done on a budget. In my mind, there's two primary ways to go about this, and in this video, we're going to be covering the fast and easy method. Now, it does require some specialty tools. Thankfully, those tools are more affordable than ever. Without further ado, let's get the show on the road. So while we've got the 4L60E obviously out of the vehicle and on the bench, we have installed some extra goodies on here to better simulate what it would be like to have this transmission installed in the vehicle and to actually tackle this job in the vehicle as opposed to on the bench. So for starters, we've got the transmission shifted into neutral, and then we need to remove our shift cable. Let's use a tool like this or a screwdriver. Insert it between the shift cable and our shift lever and pry them apart. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the entire shift cable. It's not really necessary, but doing part of this job is gonna create metal shavings that are gonna wind up possibly getting inside of our shift cable, and I just don't wanna contaminate the cable, so I'm just gonna get it out of the way. In order to remove the cable, there's a retaining clip. Get a screwdriver under there. Pull it out. And then there's two tabs, a tab here on top and a tab down below. These like to get contaminated with dirt, so I'll actually take a pocket screwdriver and knock out any dirt that may be in there. Use compressed air, blow it out. And then with that cleaned, I'll take some pliers and actually squeeze these tabs, but I won't squeeze them at the far right end of the tabs because I need to be able to squeeze and push the shifter to the right. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of room when I squeeze on this. Got it squeezed. Well, maybe. Got it squeezed and pushed to the right. Ah, I see what's going on here. We've got our guide bracket here. Get the cable off of there. A lot easier to get the shift cable out now. Just gonna set that off out of the way. With that out of the way, we'll now remove our manual shaft lever nut, the 15 mil. Give it a little wiggle, off it comes. Next, we're on to the electrical. We need to remove the MLP, but before we remove it, we gotta get the harnesses pulled off. Speaking of the MLP, this is the first gen MLP, and removing these, if it's a brand new, the original MLP, never been touched, these harnesses, getting these removed from the MLP switch itself can be a challenge because from the factory, GM glued these in place as a sealant and maybe for vibration. I'm not sure what all their reasoning was on that, but if that is the case, you're gonna need to use heat, like a heat gun or maybe a really good hair dryer, and heat up the connector all the way around it to start to melt that glue. Once the glue's melted, you just lift the tab just ever so slightly and pull on the connector, and out it comes. And then it'll be rinse and repeat with the heat on the second connector. Get it warmed up. Lift on this tab a little bit, out that connector comes. With the harness out of the way, we've got easy access to both of the 13 millimeter bolts. Maybe. With the bolts out of the way, Before I try to slide the MLP switch off of the shaft, I'll take a wire brush. These are usually covered in dirt and grime. Of course, this one's clean because it's not actually in the vehicle. And then I could try to slide the MLP off. This one I could probably pull off. It's not bad, but typically with the manual lever bolted onto the shaft, it actually mushrooms the end of the shaft out, making the end of the shaft fatter than the rest of the shaft. And what I've seen online and seen other people do is they'll take like a big pry bar or a screwdriver, get behind here and just force the MLP switch right over the mushroom part of the shaft. And what they're doing without realizing it is damaging the inside of the MLP switch. It's made out of plastic. The mushroom shaft is, of course, made out of metal. You know, obviously the metal is going to win. The plastic is going to get deformed and opened up more than it should be. So the solution for that is a file. You've got a flat edge here with a little step and identical surface on the opposing side of the shaft. We take a file and run it across that surface. Just for clarification, I'm not filing on this flat section on the shaft. Instead, I'm filing up here on this section right here to knock down any mushrooming or flaring, whatever you want to call it. And we'll do that as many times as it takes to remove any of the mushrooming. It's a little tight in here with the MLP switch still installed on the trans, but there is enough room to get the job done. And this is, like I said, going to create the metal shavings that I really don't want in my shift cable linkage. Hit that with like some brake cleaner. Pressed air. Now our MLP switch should come off with relative ease. With our MLP switch and everything out of the way, we can now see our manual shaft or shifter shaft seal. These are our specialty tools to get the job done fast and easy. We've got our installer tool and our remover tool. The remover tool has threads here that act as teeth, that once this tool is threaded clockwise, it will run or bite right into the seal, bite through the rubber part and into the metal part of the seal. Once we have a really good bite on that, we'll run this bolt down. The bolt will push against the manual shaft, and that will help to pull the seal right out of the transmission case with ease. Hey guys, quick interruption to the show. If you're looking for 4L60E parts, tools, and or supplies, be sure and check out the resources section in the video description down below. To get the seal removed, we simply install the remover tool over the shaft. Now this went on really easy. Well, of course it won't come off easy. I think it's important to note though that if the tool does not want to go onto the shaft needs to be filed some more. Previously we were filing right near this step, but if the tool's not going on, the remover tool, I'll take a file and I'll file around this edge here and the opposing edge on the opposing side of the shaft. Anywho, this shaft is good to go. I install the tool on there. I make sure my bolt is out really far, because if the bolt's in too far, I won't be able to get the tool on far enough to bite the seal. And this scenario would be really obvious if it was down that far, but if you get close enough and the bolt's hitting, it won't be so obvious. So I back this thing out till it's basically almost falling out, and I know I'm good there. What I'm going to be doing is not only rotating the tool, but I'm also going to be hammering at the same time to drive this remover tool into the seal. I like to use a ratcheting wrench, so I can do that number while I hit. That to me sounds good. It's sounded good for a number of hits there. You can actually hear a difference in the sound when the tool is biting into rubber, and then it changes, the sound changes when it starts to bite into the metal part of the seal. Next, I take my ratcheting wrench. Well, first I'm going to run this bolt all the way down until it comes into contact with the manual shaft, which it has, and then it's a matter of putting the ratcheting wrench on there, and we start running this bolt down to extract the tool and the seal, as long as the seal actually has a good, as long as the tool, excuse me, has a good bite into the seal. And there it is, seal's out. To get the seal removed from the tool, you can use like some adjustable pliers. I like to just grab the seal with a bench vise, get it done that way. While I've got the seal out, this is a good time to shoot some brake cleaner in here. Get that cavity cleaned out. And then prior to installing the seal, I want to point out a couple steps here on the shaft. So I've already mentioned this step here, and there's an identical one on the opposing side of the shaft. What I haven't mentioned yet is this step. It's much smaller, and it's honestly, it's kind of hard to see because it's darker down in here. It's all black. But point is, when installing the seal, we need to get the seal up and over this step and the other step. And it's super easy to miss this and damage the brand new seal. Before we install the seal, we of course need to put some lube on it first. And ideally just on the rubber, as opposed to the outside metal part of the seal. So just so you know, I'm going to slide the seal up and over the shaft, but when I get close to the transmission case, actually when I butt up against those steps, I'm going to take the seal and I'm going to push it towards the front of the trans and then try to drop this side down and over the shaft. It's going to be hard to see when I've got this over the shaft, but I just wanted to show you that while I've got it out, I can exaggerate it. I'm going to push it forward and drop that left side of the seal beyond the shaft, and then to get the right side of the seal over the step is what I meant to say. To get it over the step, I'm going to have to use a pocket screwdriver or some other equivalent to finesse that rubber seal over the step and not cut the seal. Do the same here. Just get it over these steps, just kind of pushing it back and forth. I get to right here, and right there we're up against those steps, and yet the seal itself is not up against the transmission case yet. So I'm going to push the seal that direction, and then to get the other side, like I said, I'm going to use a screwdriver. This thing's pretty ground down. It's not sharp anymore, or as sharp as it used to be, and I'm going to use that to help guide the seal up and over that step. And then before I put the installer tool on here, I'm actually going to get a light down in here, and I'm going to look, and I want to verify that I can see both of the steps and that we don't have any rubber over the step, because if we do and we hammer the seal into place, we're going to damage our brand new seal. Upon closer inspection, we can see that the seal has cleared the lip, not only on this side of the shaft, but on the other side of the shaft as well. So we've got our seal past the steps, and we're now ready to drive the seal on the rest of the way with the installer tool. And listen to the sound as I hammer. You can hear the difference, and you can see the tool bouncing, but you can hear it as the seal bottoms in the transmission case. Now we're ready to start installing everything. And we'll just take a quick look in there. Everything looks good. Now we're ready to just reassemble. Excuse me. Need to grab an extension. It's kind of hard to get my fingers in here on this one spot. This, however, makes it a lot easier to get that bolt started. These get torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. Get our lever installed. It also gets torqued to 18 foot-pounds. Get our electrical reinstalled. And just need to get our shift cable hooked back up. Bring it around. Get it snapped in there. Get our retaining clip reinstalled like so. And then I need the shift cable needs to get snapped onto the stud on that manual lever. Just use some pliers. Give it a little squeeze. Take our shift cable here. It needs to get put back into its guide bracket. And like that, we're done. Hey, so this was one video on the GM 4L60E. We've got a lot of other videos already currently posted here on the channel, and we've got a lot more videos in the works heading your way soon. If you've got 4L60E questions, be sure and drop me a line in the comment section down below, because your question could be the topic of an upcoming video on this transmission. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell too, so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. As always, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate your viewership, and we'll catch you in the next one.